guys, welcome back to my channel. Now welcome for those people who are here for the very first time, and I hope that you like the video and you do visit again and again on this channel, and welcome back to those people who have been waiting for me since 2 years. I know it's a lot of time, and I know since 2 years I have not uploaded a single video or any activity even on my channel, but I do hope that you forgive me. I apologize from the bottom of my heart, and I'm here, and yes, let's start with the journey again. I hope that you do support me like the way you used to do in these 2 years, and I continue making videos for your sake. Right. So before starting with this topic for today, I want you to tell me two things. The very first thing that you have to tell me is that you are in which class. Okay, I want to know my audience. I want to understand that you are in either 11th class or you are in 12th class. So that when I know that my audience is in 11th class or my audience is in 12th class, I can make videos, I can make and plan videos accordingly. Second thing जो आपको मुझे बतानी है is that you have to tell me whether you want long format videos or short format videos. And by long and short format videos, for example, जैसे हमारे different multiple topics are there, right? So अगर आपको short format videos चाहिए, I can only talk on one particular topic and 10 to 15 minutes का I can make that video. Or what I can do is I can make one long video of maybe 35 to 45 minutes, and we can explain or we can cover 2 to 3 topics in one go. Right? So that sort of videos are helpful अगर आपका exam है and you are studying maybe 2 to 3 days before your exam. And short format videos are sort of important or sort of necessary जब आपका साथ साथ chapter स्कूल में चल रहा है and you are studying side by side, so उसके लिए important हो जाती हैं दोनों. Both the videos are equally important, but you have to tell me which ones do you prefer, or do you want a blended mode of both the videos. And one more thing I am introducing on this video, on this platform, is that side by side, जैसे भी I'll explain the topic in the next class or maybe after 1 or 2 classes, what I'll do is मैं अपनी बुक लेकर आऊँगी साइड में और मैं आपको मार्क करवाऊँगी that what kind of questions can be asked in your exam, in your boards, or if you're in 11th class, so what kind of questions can be asked in your UTs, and then I will make you mark the points as well, right? So उससे होता क्या, because whenever we are studying psychology, what the one problem is that we can refer to multiple sources, right? और इतने सारे sources में we get confused कि हमें कहाँ से पढ़ना है, हमें कौन सा टॉपिक पढ़ना है, पहले हमें किस टॉपिक पे कितने मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन आएगा, और अगर उतने मार्क्स का आता है तो हम कैसे लिख पाएंगे उसको, राइट? सो लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस आर देयर एंड अ लॉट ऑफ कंफ्यूजन इज देयर. सो व्हाट आई डू इज जब भी हम 1 or 2 टॉपिक्स कवर करेंगे साइड बाय साइड, आई विल अपलोड मे बी 10 minutes वीडियो विल बी देयर, ज़्यादा तो होगी नहीं. Then I'll make you mark all the concepts there, and then you can make, when you are studying or when you are watching the video, take your book with you and you write the questions with a pen or a pencil, and you mark the points that this is the first point, this is the second point. And side by side, when I am explaining in the video also, I will tell you that this question can come of 1 mark or 2 marks or even 6 marks. Right? So enough with the introduction. Let's start with the video. I will put a timestamp. Those who are watching this video 2 or 3 days before and they do not want to get into this entire conversation, they are just here to study. So let's start. So the topic for today is what is psychology. Right, so this is an 11th class topic, and the chapter itself, the very first chapter itself is named what is psychology, because for 2 years आप ये subject पढ़ने वाले हैं. So you have to understand what is psychology, what are our objectives, हम क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं ये subject, हम क्या achieve करना चाहते हैं when we are studying this subject. And after 2 years, when you pass out your 12th, what are the things that you can expect after studying psychology. So perhaps maybe your teacher asked you on your very first day that what are your hopes? आप क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं subject? या what do you think you can achieve after studying psychology? And some students give very sort of absurd or real, maybe real answers that I want to know what others are thinking, or I want to know what I am thinking. Why am I feeling like this? Or why do individuals behave the way they do? And why do these experiences matter in our life? Do they really matter in our life? Or what is our personality? What is intelligence? Why do we forget things? And all of these things, and all of us are curious to know about all of these things, right? So let's start with the very first thing, which is what is psychology. See, जब भी हम कोई सब्जेक्ट के बारे में पढ़ना शुरू करते हैं, या फिर हम जब भी कोई डिसिप्लिन के बारे में पढ़ना शुरू करते हैं, the very first thing that we go into is the history of that particular discipline, right? From where it all began. कब लोगों के दिमाग में आया that there is something called our mind apart from brain. I will tell you in the other videos as well कि what is the difference between a mind and a brain. But the very first idea that came into individual's mind कि हमें psychology पढ़नी क्यों है, right? But the problem is that there are two problems when we are studying a discipline. And what are the two problems that we deal with whenever we are studying a particular discipline? Is that one, we cannot define a particular discipline as such. For example, psychology छोड़ो चलो. If I tell you कि अच्छा बताओ what is history, you'll not be able to define history in just one word or two words, that history is this events, all of these events that happened in our prehistoric life, or that happened in our medieval times or modern times, that when Europeans came into India, and all of these things. We cannot just define history, because when we talk about history, we can talk about the economic changes as well. We can talk about the religious changes as well. We can talk about maybe socio-cultural changes. We can always talk about the political changes. So there are n number of changes, n number of developments that occur throughout a period whenever there is a discipline concerned. So the two things with studying psychology or with studying any discipline is that it is ever changing, right? It is ever changing and as well as ever evolving. And what do I mean by this term evolving? For example, when these early psychologists started to really understand what is psychology, they used to think that psychology is derived from a Greek word which is psyche, which means mind, and logos, which means study or science. Right. Now इन दोनों को combine कर दो, psyche and logos. That means study of mind, as simple as that, right? कि whenever we are studying mind, हम उसको psychology बोल देंगे. This was the very first definition that came when psychologists started really understanding what is psychology about. But when they eventually figured out, and when this discipline started evolving, what happened is that psychologists figure out that we don't know anything about this mind, right? We cannot see it, we cannot observe it, we cannot verify it, what is actually happening in our mind, and hence because it is not observable, because it is not verifiable, we cannot actually say that whatever we are thinking is true. It can be subjective, it can be objective as well. So that is why it sort of got evolved into a more mature way of understanding, जिसमें हम behaviors के बारे में बात करते हैं, हम individual के mental processes के बारे में involve करते हैं, बात करते हैं, and हम individual के experiences के बारे में बात करते हैं. Now I know that I have used these three terms: behaviors, mental processes, experiences, and I do know that you have heard all of these terms: behaviors, experiences, and mental processes. But when we study psychology, you will see that you have to look into every detail of this subject. What is behavior? What is experience? What is mental process? What is learning? What is development? What is memory? What is forgetting? सारी चीजें पढ़नी है. ठीक है. So I know that we all are psychologists in our daily life, right? Whenever our friend is upset, we just go there and talk to our friends and try to understand what they are really going through. But when we are studying psychology, what we have to do is step by step approach, right? And the very first thing that you have to take away from this video is that psychology as a discipline is ever changing and ever evolving, right? एवर चेंज हो रहा है और एवर इवॉल्व हो रहा है, बट कहीं से तो इवॉल्व हुआ होगा, कहीं से तो स्टार्ट हुआ होगा. सो द वेरी फर्स्ट डेफिनेशन गिवन बाय साइकोलॉजिस्ट्स टू अंडरस्टैंड what psychologist is really about is that psychology comes from a Greek word psyche, which means mind. Logos means study or science. So if I have to define psychology, it is defined as study of mind. But as I said, this mind is something which is not observable, right? We cannot observe what is mind exactly, and because we cannot observe, we cannot verify कि जो हमारे माइंड में चल रहा है या फिर जो सामने वाला बंदा हमें बता रहा है, जो सामने वाला इंडिविजुअल इज ट्राइंग टू व्हाटएवर टेल कि दिस एंड दिस इज गोइंग थ्रू माय माइंड, कैन वी एक्चुअली वेरीफाई इट? नो, there is no method as to verify what is happening in our mind. That is why the next evolved thing that happened in the definition of psychology is, let me write here, what I'll do is I'll make a small section here so that at the end of the video, these are the important things. I'll write all the important things here so that at the end of the video we can refer to this sort of glossary section of the entire video, and we can actually jaldi se we can revise whatever is learned in the video. So we have seen that psychology is made of two words, psyche, which means mind, and logos, which means study. So if you combine these two, psychology, it means study of mind. So now the next thing, अब now हमने ये तो कर लिया कि ना what is psychology, हमने दो words से बना दिया and हमने दोनों words के individual meanings भी बता दी. But after a point of time, when psychologists really started observing different patterns of behavior, different patterns of experiences, कि लोग क्या experience करते हैं, लोग क्यों experience करते हैं, and what is the socio-cultural context in which they are experiencing things. For example, right now, I know that all of us, went through this dreadful phase of COVID, right? So our experiences would be different as per whatever situation was happening at our homes or whatever situation was happening in our surroundings, right? So our experiences will then influence our behavior and then will influence our mental processes. So now in this video, again and again, I am talking about three words, which is mental processes, experiences, and behavior. Let's one by one talk about all of these things, and you will realize that psychology is only about these three things only: mental processes, experiences, and behaviors, right? So what exactly are mental processes? See, इसको समझने से अच्छा you visualize this thing. Mental process, अच्छा process का मतलब क्या होता है? Process is something which is in continuation, right? कि what is the process of doing this, what is the process of doing that. So in continuation of what is happening, how do we reach that particular goal, right? Right now आप ये video देख रहे हो, you are in a sort of focus mode, right? So you are learning as well, you are learning new concepts, you are remembering also all of these things, right? And at the end, you will evaluate yourself, and next day maybe you will forget about it, or maybe you will come back to this video and again learn this entire thing. My point is that all of these things you are doing right now are mental processes. Mental processes are states of consciousness or awareness in which an individual is. Just simply write state of consciousness. Now, one more thing that I have to talk about. Whenever you are watching this video and you actually want to learn something, I am not saying that you make a notebook or you make separate sort of notes table or something. I'm not saying like that. Just pick your NCERT. Okay, take out a pencil and whatever short little things I am writing, although it's still there in the book, सब कुछ book से, yeah, I am not referring to anything other than the book, but what you have to do is you have to still write these things, because books में ना lines की form में है, and lines we do not tend to read again and again. Lines से हम बोर हो जाते हैं, right? So whenever you have this star mark करके छोटा सा यहाँ पे लिख दिया consciousness, यहाँ पे whatever I am telling you आप वो लिख लेना, so that whenever you are just even going through the pages, जब भी आप turning the pages, you have this, आपकी सीधा हाई चली जाएगी उस word पे, and then you will always remember this one thing कि mental processes are states of consciousness or awareness of an individual. Okay, अब मैंने एक और बड़ा word बोल दिया, consciousness, right? Consciousness means that you are consciously, you know what is happening around you. Maybe some of you are watching this video sitting on your sitting or maybe sleeping on your bed, and you are in your blanket और आप बिल्कुल मस्ती से वीडियो देख रहे हैं, साथ में टीवी चल रहा है, something other is happening और आप subconsciously you are just listening to the video. Some of you are actually sitting properly and then watching the video, making proper notes as I'm teaching, and you are consciously aware of every word, every action. Even I am doing like this, you are consciously aware. Even I am doing like this, you are consciously aware. That, my dear, is consciousness. That, my dear, is awareness of your surroundings, of the individuals in your surroundings, and whatever you are listening right now. That is, and these are the mental processes. And if you have to sort of give examples, the examples would be, as I told you, remembering, then remember के साथ साथ हम क्या कर रहे हैं, हम learn भी कर रहे हैं, right? So learning, learning के बाद maybe आप कुछ रीजन करने की कोशिश करो कि मैम ने इतने टाइम से वीडियो अपलोड क्यों नहीं करी, मे बी ये रीजन होगा. आई टोल्ड यू, वी ऑल आर साइकोलॉजिस्ट इन योर लाइफ, राइट? हम सब बनते हैं. सो मे बी यू रीजन ऑल्सो कि ना मैम की लास्ट वीडियो तो अब आई थी, मैम ने ये किया, मैम. वॉट एवर यू आर लॉजिकली थिंकिंग, all of these are parts of mental processes. So we can say logical thinking, we can say reasoning, etc. Right? So the next important glossary word is, what is mental processes? Mental processes are our awareness or consciousness. And you will see at the end of the video, हम सिर्फ ये रिवाइज करेंगे and your entire video will be summarized in just a few words, maybe five sentences or even less. पूरी वीडियो का समराइज इसी में ही हो जाएगा. So please stick with me to the end of the video. Okay? Now experiences. Experiences, when I talk about, is something which is very subjective. And subjective का मतलब क्या होता है? See, when I talk to you about COVID, all of us experienced COVID in a something different way, right? Maybe आपका लॉकडाउन बहुत अच्छा गया होगा. Maybe you were making dalgona coffee, or maybe you were watching Netflix, or maybe you were watching series or something. And maybe some other person, maybe from your own neighborhood, maybe from your own locality, maybe उसका COVID इतना अच्छा नहीं गया जैसे सबका गया. And we know this for a fact that ये actually हुआ है. My point is that experiences are subjective in nature, and this is the very first line of your NCERT book, this topic. Experiences are subjective in nature. Subjective means आपका experience कुछ और हो सकता है, मेरा experience कुछ और हो सकता है. Second thing, experiences cannot be observed from outside. That means whatever I have experienced in COVID, can you tell me just by watching the video कि मैंने COVID में क्या experience किया है, या मैं अभी तक what are my experiences in life, आप बता सकते हो? आप नहीं बता सकते, right? And I cannot tell, maybe if I meet someday if I meet you and we talk, क्या मैं बता पाऊंगी that what are your experiences up till now? No. So the second point is that experiences cannot be observed from outside. Third thing, and the very interesting fact about experiences is that experiences are sort of influenced by external and internal conditions. Now, what do I mean by external and internal conditions? To understand this, let me give you an example, okay? समझो, imagine करो that बहुत भीड़ वाली बस में you are going somewhere. बहुत गर्मी है. In the month you are living in Delhi, and in the month of June or July, peak गर्मी पे, you are traveling somewhere, and by a bus you are traveling, and it's a crowded bus. ठीक है? Will you enjoy that? No, we will not enjoy it because we will get frustrated. But imagine at the same time, June July की गर्मी में, peak गर्मी I'm talking about, peak गर्मी में you are traveling and you are going to a picnic with your school friends. Now imagine, your experience will be different. That experience of traveling in a crowded bus in peak hot summer in Delhi alone will be different from the experience that you will have while you're traveling with your friends in that same crowded bus, but you're going to a picnic, you're going to Adventure Island, or you're going to water park in the same hot summer. My point being is that two same scenarios, the difference is that one internal condition is that you are happy here with your friends. When you're traveling with your friends, you are happy, right? So 3 points about experiences that you have to remember. The very first is that it is subjective in nature. Subjective, as I told you, if you want to explain subjective, see, ये question ना एक साथ ही आता है. At the end, I'll tell you कि इसका question क्या बनेगा. तो इसलिए you don't have to explain what subjectivity is. But if you do want to explain, और अगर नहीं दिमाग में नहीं आ रहा है कि मैम ने क्या बताया था, पेपर में क्या लिखना है, और experiences पे question आ गया, तो you can write in your own words also that experiences are subjective in nature. That means no one person will experience the same thing. Every individual will experience something different even if they are in the same situation. And you can talk about examples as well. Like the same situation we all faced of COVID, but all of our experiences were different. Okay? Second point that you have to remember is that experiences cannot be observed from outside. Cannot be observed, I told you already, cannot be observed, and we cannot make out what the other person is feeling just by observing the person's face. Right? So cannot be observed. And the third thing about experiences is that it's a complex. Why am I saying complex? Because it's very difficult to understand. It's very difficult to understand. हमें नहीं समझ आता कि ना what is the other person feeling. How is exactly, what is it that he's exactly experiencing, हमें नहीं समझ आता. Because it is a complex interplay of both internal, what is the feelings that he is feeling internally, and as well as external. Is there someone to support that particular person from external? Then might as well he will feel something differently. He will experience something differently. That is why I am telling you it's a complex interplay of internal and external situations. ठीक है, थर्ड आ गया हमारा फर्स्ट साइकोलॉजी ओरिजिन, Second, awareness and consciousness, which is the mental processes, and mental processes are remembering, learning, reasoning, logical thinking, etc. Third, हमने किसके बारे में बात करी? Experiences, which are subjective, complex and not observable from outside. Okay? Now, if I erase all of this, you will be able to understand, or you will be able to revise the entire thing that I just explained just by reading this. Right? So, I am this I'll erase, okay, because the experiences part is new, so we want that part to be in front of your eyes. Okay, now let's move on to behavior. Okay, now your teacher says in your class, why are you behaving like this? What is the problem? Can you not see that this is not appropriate behavior in the class? Stand up, tell me, why are you behaving like this? And then you maybe tell your reason. Or maybe you don't tell your reason because now you are in 11th class and you think that, क्यों बताना? I will talk to my friends. But what exactly is behavior? Behavior, when I talk about behavior, now this word है ना, behavior. Yeah, when a child is small or when the child is just into school, तभी से ना हम policing शुरू कर देते हैं, right? कि you have to behave like this, you have to behave like this, this is the way you behave with the teachers, this is the way you behave with the elders, this is the way you behave, this is the way you do this. So we sort of tell the people that you have to behave. So it's not a new word for you, but you have to understand कि behavior का मतलब क्या है. First and second thing, how is it different from mind? How is it different from mind is that we can actually observe behavior. We can actually see that the person is doing this and this thing, and we can actually point out कि कब गुस्सा आया. That is how we can move on to the next question कि क्यों गुस्सा आया. Right? So one thing about behavior is that it is observable. देख रहे हो? Experiences not observable, behaviors observable. हम observe कर सकते हैं. Your teachers observe you in the class all the time कि क्या कर रहे हो, कैसे बैठे हो. You might be observing me this entire video कि मैम कैसे बात कर रही है, मैम कैसे हाथ gestures कर रही हैं. You might be observing me. So we observe a lot of things and then we come up to the conclusion that this person's behavior is appropriate for the class. This person's behavior is not so appropriate for the class. So what is behavior exactly? And I have not given you the answer till yet. Behavior is an association between stimulus response. Now, you will say कि मैम एक definition समझाती हैं और उस definition में दो important words और बोल देती हैं. But you have to understand what is stimulus and then what is response. For example, if I just say just a second, मेरी आँख में कुछ चला गया, ठीक है? That, and what will be my behavior? My behavior will be of blinking my eyes, right? It's a very simple behavior and you can observe it from outside. But what if a child is sitting in the class and not behaving? I mean, not talking to anyone. And I cannot actually see or I cannot actually understand why the person is behaving like that. I can know that you are confused. My point being is that whenever we talk about behavior, there is always and always a stimulus present. Stimulus means a situation, basically a situation. A situation which triggers you. आँख में कुछ गया, that is a stimulant. मैंने आँख को रब किया, that is a response. I am walking, चल रही हूँ मैं, खड्डा आया, a pit is there, मैं उसमें गिर गई. गिरना is stimulus. गिरने के बाद मैं रोने लगी is my response. So behavior is an association between stimulus and response. Whenever a stimulus is there obviously a response will be there. Maybe that response is something which you can show or something which you cannot show. Coming to my next point, behaviors can be overt or covert. ठीक है. Now overt means, अच्छा देखो, covert पहले covert समझो. covert में है cover, right? तो cover का मतलब क्या होता है? ढकना. So sometimes our behaviors are ढके हुए. There is a stimulus present. For example, somebody hurt you really bad, right? And you don't know how to express your feelings. The hurting part was your stimulus. The behavior, you do not know how to behave around that person. You do not know how to behave around even your friends. That is a covert behavior. An overt behavior, a behavior which is covered. Overt behavior very simply means that what you can see, what you can observe from the outside. Okay? This entire thing was about behavior. 3 points that you have to remember. Behavior is observable in nature, observable, and hence it is verifiable also. If I observe that this person is behaving very angrily in front of all the teachers, I can verify it again and again after observing him or her a few days in the class, right? So one, behavior is observable and verifiable. Second, behavior is the association between stimulus and response. Whenever there is a stimulus, there will always be a response. Maybe the response is overt, which means that you can see the response from outside. Maybe someone hurt you and you started crying. So that response was overt. That means you can see or observe that behavior from outside. Or maybe someone hurt you and you are not able to express. Or maybe sometimes it happens that we are feeling very anxious because our exam is approaching and we have not studied, and we are feeling very anxious but we don't know how to express it. That behavior will be covert. 3 things about behavior is that 1, it is observable. Second is that it is a stimulus response. We write like this in psychology: stimulus response association. And third is that it could be overt behavior or covert behavior. I know that you don't need nothing from this topic. Now, because you have watched this video, your entire topic of 1, what is psychology, is clear. But I have not answered your question. What is psychology? 1, the very first definition about psychology was that psychology comes from the Greek word psyche, which means mind, logos meaning study. So psychology is a study of mind. After evolving and after as psychologists studied a lot of things, they realized that mind is something which we cannot observe from outside sources. And because we cannot observe it, we cannot verify it as well. So we moved on to the next definition, which says that psychology is a science that deals with mental processes, experiences, and behavior. That's it. Psychology is a science. And why is it a science? I'll tell you in the next class. Psychology is a science that deals with mental processes, experiences, and behaviors. That is it. That is the definition, that is the summary, that is the gist of the entire first topic, what is psychology. And if you want to even further, I'll summarize it for you. What are mental processes? Mental processes are states of awareness or consciousness, and the examples of mental processes would be remembering, learning, understanding, problem solving, making meaning out of something, comprehension, and all of these things. Second, which is experiences. Experiences are subjective in nature. That means that some other person will experience something else and the same person or the other person will experience something else in the same situation. Complex. Why? Because it's an interplay of both external as well as internal situations. And third, it is not observable by outside. Next, we move on to behaviors. Behavior is something which is observable. It is an association between stimulus response. Whenever there will be a stimulus, there will be a response. Now this response, that is the behavior, response is another name for behavior. So this response could be overt. Overt means something which is observable from the outside, and covert means something which is covered. So now the question, my dear, will come like this, and let me write a question here. And then we will wind up with this topic. The question will come like this. Explain mental processes, experiences and behavior. It's a very direct question which I am giving you. That explain mental processes, experiences and behavior and their role in psychology. The next question could be, what is psychology? See, the question is itself written here in your chapter's name. What is psychology? So when you write this answer, you have to talk about how psychology, the name was taken, and how we moved on from this definition of psychology to a much more scientific definition, which involves all the processes which are maybe not observable, which are observable, and these remembering, learning different patterns of behavior. Right? So on this note, I would like to end the video now. I told you in the very beginning what you have to do. You have to comment below this video whatever forms you would like to study. अगर आपको long form videos पढ़नी है, short form videos पढ़नी है, you have to tell me. Okay? Second thing, you have to tell me आप कौन सी class के हैं and what subjects. Maybe if you want to study pol science and history also, I also teach that. So आप मुझे वो भी बताएंगे that what other subjects do you want to study, and I hope that I continue to make videos, and I hope that you continue to learn from my videos. And if there is any doubt, you can freely ask me, and I will make sure that I revert back to you and explain to you the topic again if there is any doubt. In the next class, be prepared with the book, and I will make you mark the points as well of this entire topic. Thank you.